Yeah, and here's the thing, by the way, we're not trying to suggest that games are bad for copying. You know, if you've got a good idea, then by all means, if you think you can improve on
Yeah,
it, then go
definitely.
for it. And we're also
Definitely.
not trying to tell you what to spend your money on. Okay, how do I word this without insulting the both of us? We're two human beings on the internet. We're having a conversation with opinions. If you don't get that, maybe you shouldn't be on the internet. I don't know how else to word that. I'm sorry, I really don't. Um, but there is, I think there is another point to this of, and this kind of goes into a second part of all of this, advertising. Now, for people who don't know, I am a massive Dragon Ball Z fan. And if you don't know that, I don't know how you don't know that, but now you do. I am a massive Dragon Ball Z fan. And there's been several games where in the adverts or the background sound or hey, we're selling it as this, whatever you want to call it, right? They have advertised the last few games as a full RPG. Now, granted, Kakarot got close, but I had issues with that. But let's say, for argument's sake, Kakarot, it was an RPG, they gave it a go. Xenoverse was not an RPG. I'm sorry, it wasn't. And the point that I'm making here is advertisers, it seems, are now just allowed to tell us whatever the hell they want. They are allowed to go, this game will do this.
Really noticed that personally. However, I can understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
Mainly because with games or with any art, it's difficult to regulate that. Well, at least here in the United States, it's more difficult to regulate those kinds of advertisements because, I mean, the FCC, which is our government agency that regulates advertisements, the FCC
Right.
doesn't care about video games. So, unless there's an advertisement that says an absolutely factually untrue statement, our government can't really do anything about it. And when it comes to art, it's difficult to find a factually untrue statement.
Yeah.
I mean, what is an RPG? Like, we can debate what makes an RPG, but like, does having a level up system make an RPG by itself? I mean, if so, then friggin' Metal Gear Solid is an RPG.
And Pyro
Because there is a
being...
system to extend your life points. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so if an advertiser says this is an RPG and it has one element that could be maybe considered that, then you know our government isn't going to give a shit. So, you know, it's difficult, and why reviews are good, whether professional or amateur. Like,
Yeah.
just seeing people say like this is true, this is not true. That's really the only way you can judge that kind of thing.
Well, funny enough, I was thinking about this the other day, and I think it's actually the gamer's fault. Let me explain here. I'm not blaming every gamer. But ever since YouTube came on and people have done theories about games of what's coming up, or use statements like, I know this will be in the game, or, oh, this will definitely be in the game because of this, or this screenshot, or whatever the hell it is, or however you want to phrase it. I think game companies have actually stole that from us. I think they've gone, hang on a minute, if we give them enough to think it's got everything, right, then these, for lack of a better term, advertisers on YouTube will do all the work for us. And everyone will forget what we promised because actually suddenly now it's on us. Because we've done all this hype, we've done all this, you know, kind of, oh, look at this, it's shiny, don't you want to buy it kind of thing. And honestly, I think it's actually kind of became a problem.
I mean, hype always has been that kind of thing, not just in the games industry too.
Yeah.
I mean, you just, without hype, no one pays attention, and
of course
sometimes you have to. Well, speaking for a company in theory, sometimes you may need to bend the truth or whatever to get that extra bit of hype. I mean, don't forget we had the what was it, 5 years ago when No Man's Sky came out. Oh my God, it's been longer than that. Anyway, when No Man's Sky came out, the lead developer Sean Murray did a lot of interviews where he promised the moon, including certain promises that his own team didn't realize he was going to make. Like, you know, they would say, I'm trying to remember the exact example, but like someone was like, if two players find each other, can they see each other? And Sean Murray said yes. And until literally that moment, the team didn't even have plans for it. So they had to immediately scramble to try to figure out the code to make that work. And they
That's
couldn't
horrible.
do it by the time the game initially released. So it is, I mean, hype culture. I hate the word culture, but context, but I have no better word. Hype culture is the real problem. Which again, not to sound like I'm better than people or whatever,
no.
but this is why I don't get into hype. Like, I don't care. I have always been a fairly chill, traditional person where I don't get into the hype. I care once the product is out and I'm told about what the product does, demonstrably what the product does, and then I make a purchasing decision. And again, that's not just games. That's literally everything.
Yeah.
And that's the way I keep myself from falling into those traps, because this is always going to happen. Whether it's Sean Murray or Andrew Wilson of EA or whatever, there is always going to be hype that is going to fail to live up to expectations. And if you listen to all the hype, you're just going to get your expectations shattered. So my view is to go the opposite direction. Never look at hype, and you'll be pleasantly surprised if something good happens. So, you know, that's just
I mean, that's I love this so much. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, and I'm not saying about legal responsibility or they should be punished or they should, you know, I'm not talking about any of that. But it's the fact that no responsibility is taken, whether it's by the person playing the game, whether it's by the person who made the game, whether it's by the person voice talking over a commercial, or, you know, kind of that old traditional thing in the cinema when that was actually a thing, for people who remember that, you know, the 5 seconds of trailer you'd see, that was the hypest bit of the fucking film, and they deliberately showed you that. But I think the lack of responsibility in the game industry, and again, I'm not saying, oh, let's all get pitchforks and kill the game industry, because the catch-22 is we love it, and without it, we wouldn't have anything new. So I am definitely not saying let's this was not the purpose of these videos. And I think the problem is I don't know what the solution is. I think it's only gonna become more corporate, in the sense that we are now more aware of the corporate because of social media, because people are talking about more what's going on in the background. We seem to care a lot more about what companies are doing or not doing, or telling us, not telling us, or etc, etc. Just a little side note, guys. If you're hearing that sound, I don't know if the mic's picking up on it. I recently bought a vape, so sorry but I haven't had a fag in over 24 hours, and I'm trying to keep it up. So just really weird little side note, but I did want to let people know in case they're really confused what that sound is. But yeah.
I'm not hearing anything in the background, so you're probably
Okay, cool. But yeah, I think, and again, not legal, I'm not saying for anyone to be punished, but I think nobody is being held accountable. Or if they are, it's forgotten within 5 seconds. I, I, I think it's a horrible thing.
I mean, you know, that's why, like I said, us consumers have more power than we sometimes deal with. Like, if literally everybody just stopped buying EA games and said, you know, stop doing microtransactions or we're never going to buy another game again, then they would stop immediately. Like,
Yeah.
once you threaten their wallet, then they will change. However, you still have to have enough people who care and are motivated enough to resist the hype, resist the advertisements, and resist their own habits
Yep.
to make a difference. And I just don't think there are enough people. I'm more cynical about that. But
No, I
what
agree.
can do for
I agree.
myself, what I can do for myself is just make my own choices. Like, again, like I said, I don't buy yearly games anymore. I don't buy anything from Ubisoft, and I will not encourage anybody to boycott or not boycott. That's completely up to you and your morals and all of that, blah blah blah. But like, I personally don't buy Ubisoft games straight up because I think they're a terrible company and they are well beyond the threshold of what I think would be acceptable behavior. So I just don't. And even if that doesn't help the whole situation, at least I can sleep at night knowing that my wallet did not go toward Ubisoft and their gaming or their management culture. So that's all you can do. All you can do is make the best decision that you can at that moment.